Well, hello, and welcome to unit number 7 for the Interpreted Panels course. Now, for some of you, especially if you're a designer taking the course, you probably were able to move through the course pretty quickly. And for those of you who are new and really haven't had much work with panels, I hope you've really enjoyed what you've been doing as far as developing mock-ups, things like that. So now with unit 7, the big question is, for the interpreted panels you've been working on, especially for you designers who have been designing panels for a long time, this part of the panels course is the so what part. On the model of interpretation, it's the evaluation. Now, at the beginning, I said that most interpreted panels aren't planned, they just happen. You're given a topic, like on historic homes or squirrels or some zoo animal or a plant, whatever. And you look up some information on it, and you put in some pictures, and you write some copy, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you got a panel. Well, you've learned that interpreted panels need to actually have objectives, and they need to be cost-effective. So the question is, I don't really care how nice your panel looks. What I care about is if I'm, as a manager, going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 to have this panel fabricated and installed, I want outcomes. So if I'm going to spend $2,000 on your panel, I want you to tell me for sure that I'm going to get over the life of the panel $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in benefits, because I'm just not buying a decoration. I'm buying a product of the product. The product of the product is essentially the panel is the product. The product of the product is I get less vandalism, I get more volunteers, I have people helping us with resource protection. Our mission is getting accomplished at a larger, higher level. I'm paying that money for that panel because I want something in return for the investment. So your job is to set up and do a pre-test evaluation of your panel mock-up with visitors to see if the objectives of the panel are actually going to be accomplished. Now, I don't expect you to actually go out and do a survey, but what I would like you to do is kind of outline for me, explain to me how you would go about evaluating to see if the panel you design is actually accomplishing anything. Because your manager or your director wants proof. So he or she wants to see results saying, well, look, we showed the panel to 100 people, 150 people, and 80% of them now understand why we have to close this marsh area during bird migration. And they didn't understand it before. It was an annoyance to them before, but now they kind of get it. So for the money we spent on the panel, we have visitor satisfaction increase, we have visitor compliance, and we have them understanding our resource management mission at a much higher level. So for the $2,000 we invested in that panel, we were getting a lot of tangible and particularly intangible benefits from that panel. So it would be worth the investment to have that panel up there permanently, or at least used seasonally during bird migration. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to devise for me an evaluation strategy so you can tell your director how you're going to go out and pre-test this panel to make sure that it accomplishes its objectives. And remember, if your evaluation shows that it's not accomplishing its objectives, then you have to have a plan to go and do some redesign. The example I want to give you is on the unit sheet. We were asked to do an interpretive panel for the Army Corps of Engineers at Kaninzu Lake. At the dam, they have a large overhang where literally thousands of swifts migrate to each year. They migrate from Argentina to the lake, and they nest there and they feed like crazy all summer long. And then at the end of the year, they migrate back to Argentina. So we did this interpretive panel. There's also a lot of carp that show up. So when people come up to the area of the dam, about 5,000 carp show up right at the edge of the water. And they're begging for food because people have learned that they take bread or cookies or whatever and toss it out in the water. The carp go nuts, and they like that. So they'll run out and buy a loaf of bread just to feed the carp. So the two things you want the panel to accomplish is what are the birds and what are they doing here? And why are all these crazy carp coming up at the edge of the water and begging? So the panel had to essentially address those two questions that the visitors had. And we learned what the visitors wanted to know because we asked them, what do you want to know about what's going on here? And so we did the panel design. And we had a lot of things that we had to tweak, but the big thing was, the swifts migrate from Argentina, which is in South America, to Pennsylvania, where the dam is, and then go back. We found out that the majority of people didn't know where Argentina was. We actually had some people say, well, what state is that in? And then you just kind of look at them and kind of scratch your head and go, well, it's not a state, it's a country in South America. And they kind of go, oh, which means we needed to do a better job on the panel. So we had to add a map that showed where Argentina was. And so that these wonderful people in Pennsylvania didn't think that Argentina was a city in some state, like in Louisiana, something like that. So our survey showed that they didn't know where the country was that the birds migrate to and from, so we had to redesign it to show the map. That's an example of how the pretest really helps us get a better product with interpretive panels. So that when we spend the $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 on the panel, we get more in return in tangibles and intangibles than what the panel actually cost. So again, that's your job for your assignments. One assignment number one, is to look at the draft panel and tell me what you think we learned from the pretest. And then assignment number two, which is the bigger one, is for you to plan and design an evaluation strategy so you can test your panel, so you can tell your director if it's accomplishing its objectives or if you have to go back and tweak it to make sure that it's working well. So that's the job for unit number 7. Hope you have fun with it. Remember, evaluation is very important. My dad, who was a carpenter, always said, hey, measure twice, cut once. And that's what this unit is all about. If you have questions, send me an email. Have fun with it. Bye-bye.